Hey beauties, it's Nikea here with another mom life vlog. So I said in my introduction that I would, if you all liked, and no, I didn't have like a million people flooded me like do this video, but I did have someone say that they wanted a more specific video on breastfeeding and a more specific video focused on cloth diapering. So I'm here today with a video on breastfeeding. Now, I am not an expert by any means. I did not take any classes, but I am just giving my experience, my advice, and hopefully my experience can help someone else have an even better experience. But before we get into that, I want you to go down below, click that red subscribe button, and hit that bell notification button so that you never miss when I post. And what do I always say, y'all? To subscribe, it's free, it's easy, and it's fun. Alright, so go ahead and do that for me. I would love it. Yeah, so I'm really coming to you all like just chilling. It's summertime, but it's cold in my apartment, so I have on this sweatshirt. And I decided, you know, be a little cute in the video, give me a little one shoulder action. I did put on some lipstick for y'all, but I have on my glasses and my grandma chain. Yeah. So yeah, let's just get into breastfeeding. So the reason why I breastfed was because I've always wanted to breastfeed my child when I had children. Just growing up, I wasn't exposed to a lot of breastfeeding. I did have an aunt that nursed one of my cousins. I did see that, but it wasn't just like my family was all like proponents for breastfeeding. And my mom ran a child care, so she did have some children whose parents were breastfeeding and they would send in their breast milk. So, you know, I was exposed to it and I was familiar with it, but I just knew that it was always something that I wanted to do. My mom used to always tell me that she tried to nurse me, but I bit her. I always joke with her and say that I'm not as smart as I could be because she didn't nurse me, because, you know, there's like statistics out there about breast milk helping with intelligence or whatever, so I just always joke with her about that. But I am a proponent for breastfeeding if that's your choice and if that's what you can do, and if that is what you want to do. I used to say breast is best, but I will not say that because not everybody is capable of breastfeeding and not everybody wants to breastfeed. So fed is best, okay, however you choose to feed your child. But I chose to feed my child with nursing, breastfeeding, breast milk. So I always knew I wanted to do, because one, I felt like it was easy, like you always have your child's food with you, you know, and I also feel like it is less expensive. And because like formula is like $30 for that can, and then also like formula doesn't get measured out properly sometimes, and sometimes people put too much, they put too little, and I didn't know that like formula bottles expire as well. So, you know, so for me and my life and my lifestyle, for my family, breastfeeding is and was best for us. So Harper was born 9 o'clock at night, almost 10, and she came out, they put her right on my chest, and she went to nursing. She was on one boob for like 40 minutes. So it wasn't too hard to get her to latch on, because before that I had went on like Pinterest and stuff and just read articles about breastfeeding. And before I even got pregnant or even thought about getting pregnant, I had this board on Pinterest called My Future Children, and I had stuff up there about breastfeeding and stuff like that. So I did my research and stuff like that. So I do encourage you to do your research, prepare yourself if breastfeeding is something that you would like to do for you and your child. So never really had any issues with her latching on, with her nursing. When we got home, we did have a nurse come in and she did ask if I had any questions about breastfeeding, and I thought Harper was latching on wrong because like my boob would hurt so bad. Like one time, like they would like crack and bleed, and one time a piece of my nipple came off. It was so painful, oh my God. Like literally a piece of my nipple came off. But I kept pushing through. Like those first few weeks are going to be painful. Like it's going to hurt. This is an experience that your body has never had before if this is your first time. But I've also read that it's different with each child. So just because you have 5 kids doesn't mean the 6th one is just gonna feel better if you plan to nurse. But it hurt so bad, but I kept pushing through because like we didn't have any other options. I did have some formula on hand, like just in case like my milk supply was low or Harper didn't latch on properly. I had that on deck just in case, but I kept pushing through. I was producing milk. That was okay. I do remember, you know, in those first few days, your body's not producing milk. It's called colostrum. Colostrum, am I saying it right? Yeah, it's called colostrum. Colostrum, yes. But it's very fatty and it's full of nutrients and stuff like that for your baby. And your baby's stomach is super small when they're first born, so they don't need to eat a lot. So don't worry about that. So to help get your milk going, it's important that you let your baby nurse as often as they want. For me, that's what I did with Harper. Like it was just on demand. She would nurse whenever she wanted to nurse. I gave it to her. It wasn't really on a set schedule when she first got home, but that helps your milk start to come in. Like it signals to your body, okay, we started making this milk, the body's preparing, so now it's time to like release it. So that's what we did. Like Harper just nursed as often as she could. And I remember my milk came in probably like, I say at the most it was like a week after I had her. Like my chest got hard as rocks. I remember that. And I would just stand under the shower like OMG and try to like massage it down because it was just so full. But then once my milk came in, it was just boom. Harper, she only nursed on one breast at a time. And she maybe over the time span that she's been nursing for 20 months now, she's probably nursed on both breasts probably like 5 times out of the hundreds of times that she's nursed. But they say you're supposed to, you know, nurse on one breast and let them continue on the other. But Harper would only nurse on one breast. Like it was very rarely it was both. So since my maternity leave was so short and you know she would need breast milk and that's all I wanted her to be fed, I would pump when she nursed or pump after she nursed just to make sure that I had enough milk. And I think for that reason I started pumping maybe a couple of days after we got home because I didn't get my breast pump. I wanted the hands-free brothing. I'll show y'all that. So probably like a couple days after we got home, I started pumping. And so she would be nursing, I would be pumping, and I would even sometimes pump on the breast that she nursed on because I just wanted to make sure that I was producing enough milk for her to have when I wasn't around her. So I would pump like 4 or 5 ounces, minimum 3 ounces, which was really good at a time. I would just try to keep that schedule. So when she would wake up in the middle of the night, I would nurse her, then I would go pump. So I did not get a lot of sleep until she was probably 8 or 9 months. But you know, if you have a short maternity leave and you're going to be away from your child, or even if you just want a break from nursing your child every time they wake up, I would suggest pumping early and pumping often. And I was also like really like paranoid about not having enough milk, so I made like these breast milk cookies and I made breast milk smoothie packs. I got some fenugreek. I had some mother's milk tea. Like I was eating and taking all those supplements and doing all those different things just to make sure that my body would produce enough milk for her, because my fear was not being able to nurse her, because my first goal was to nurse her up until a year, which I clearly have exceeded. And it was my goal for her to be exclusively breastfed, which means, you know, no solid foods, nothing else, only my breast milk until she was like 5 or 6 months, which we did reach that goal. So I nursed and I pumped. Like I said, I went back to work at 4 weeks. So luckily my job was very accommodating to nursing mothers, and there was a lactation room with a refrigerator and everything, so I was able to pump at work. I got my pump through my insurance, which everyone who has insurance should be able to get their pump. I know they don't allow you to get it until like a certain amount of time before you have the baby. I think like 4 weeks or something like that, because I wanted to get my pump early and to make sure I knew how to use it and how to work it. So they give you options on what pump you want to use, but I knew I always wanted to use Medela. It's been in storage for a while, I haven't used it. But I have the Medela Medela Pump and Style Advanced. So it comes to you like this. The pump is inside here and it opens up. This is the little knob for how strong you want it to pump right here. And then this is for let down, which it'll mimic the babies. When babies first latch onto you, they like to do a long draw to start the milk to flowing, and then they do that fast sucking motion. And this is where you put the valve. So if you're only pumping on one breast, you cover up one valve, and then this is where the adapter. So this is the wall adapter. And I even, I would pump while driving too. It's crazy. I pumped for a year straight I pumped. So you get this, and you also get, now these are not the ones that came with it. Funny story, these little valves, you're supposed to like clean them and sanitize them every so often. So clean them after every use, but I would sanitize them like once a week. And I was still home on maternity leave, and I sanitized it because it was like this, it was a piece in front and this detached, and all this comes off. So I put it in some boiling water and I fell asleep and I melted my valves. So I had to go to Walmart and buy some new valves and stuff like that. So this is all in one piece. The ones that they sent me with this were in multiple pieces. Also came with 2 storage bottles. So you just attach this onto here. Oh yeah, and the valves, of course. So this part goes attached to the pump. And then this little piece, you just attach it inside the valve. And then you place it on your breast. So you can hold it up there, or it's free thingamajig, which honestly, I only got this because I had a gift card. But you can make this yourself. Get a sports bra, cut some holes in it, bam. But yeah, I was a new mom and I was like, I don't want to rig it. So it zips up, and this was perfect for at work because at work I would pump on both sides. So I could just and still do some work while I was in the lactation room. But yeah, zips up like that. You put this in and you just go to work. How sexy is that? Like, yes. All right, and if you're double pumping, you have one on each side. And then also with this, I would nurse sometimes with this when I was at home trying to pump. That was the worst part. The worst part about breastfeeding. That's the one thing I did not like, was pumping, because I just felt like a cow. Just in the sound. OMGZ. So when I first started pumping, I would pump for like 15-20 minutes just to make sure that I got everything out. And you can change like it starts off with a let down phase, where it's that slow motion, that and then it goes faster. You can always change the let down to try to make sure you get everything out of your boobs. And when I was nursing, I would try to make sure I would massage, make sure that it's empty. I never really had any issues with pumping at work. When I went back to work, I would pump 3 times a day. I would pump in the morning, in the afternoon, and then at the end of the day, and that was enough at work. Oh, and I would also pump before I went to work. So I would nurse Harper, then pump before I went to work, and pump 3 times at work, and then pump at home. So 5 times a day, which was enough. Y'all, all the stuff that I did really allowed me to, like, I don't know if it would be called overproduction, but my boobs just held a lot of milk. And I was like looking it up and trying to find out, like, why am I producing so much milk? Like, this is crazy. Like, one time before work, I pumped 20 ounces of milk. That's like 4 breast milk bags. Crazy. In one setting. Like I said in the previous video, I had so much milk at one point that I would use it for Harper for a milk bath, put it on her skin because it helps with eczema, put it in her hair. She had Cradle's cap. I gave some to my sister-in-law. Yeah, I had a lot of milk, and I'm grateful that I had that experience, and I know that that's not everyone's experience. So I'm super grateful, and I'm grateful that I can still produce now. But I had so much milk, but I just think it was because I was consistent, and I feel like I was, you know, positive about it, and I was just focused on keeping Harper fed and happy. So in regards to pumping milk, so Harper strictly nursed straight from my breast until about like 3 or 4 weeks. Like, I introduced her to the bottle slowly because I didn't want there to be like nipple confusion, which I don't think there was really an issue for her. So I didn't give her a bottle or a pacifier until she was like 3 or 4 weeks old. And she took pretty well to the bottle, and the only thing about the bottle with her is that I had to use like the smallest nipple because she had a strong sucking action. So if the nipple was too large, it would come out too fast for her. Yeah, and the baby choking on the breast milk and stuff. Not a good look. But I used the Philips Avent natural bottles. So it was the wide nipple, so it would mimic my breast. And she pretty much nursed on demand for, I want to say, the first 8 or 9 months. Like, as she got older, she did get a more consistent schedule. Like, she would nurse every 2 hours or every 3 hours. Sometimes she would cluster feed when she was going through a growth spurt. But nursing wasn't an issue for me. Like, I feel like nursing and pumping and breastfeeding just allowed me those moments to kind of like stop and sit back and just kind of relax. And nursing her was very relaxing for me, because they say when you nurse, you release this hormone that's very relaxing. You make this connection with your baby, and it's all zen. Oh yeah, but it was we've had a great experience so far. Now that Harper's getting older, I'm kind of like, all right, we're done, because now she just puts her hand in my shirt and tries to feel around, and I feel like sometimes she uses it as a pacifier. It's terrible. When Harper was nursing at night, before she slept through the night, she would sleep in our room in her bassinet, and we also had this thing called a co-sleeper, so you could put it in the bed with you and the baby could sleep in there, so that way if you rolled over, you would just bump into the little co-sleeper and not roll over on the baby. So at night, I would just lift my shirt up and she would latch on and I would fall asleep. Honestly, that's been plenty of times that's happened, because it's easier that way. I tried like alternating with her dad. Like, he would get up and give her a bottle, and then I would get up and nurse her. But yeah, both of us not having sleep wasn't good, so I just sacrificed and didn't get any sleep. And then one of my coworkers was like, Cook, because I'm a teacher, so we call everybody by our last name. She's like, Cook, you have got to get her on your schedule, because if you don't, you're gonna be doing this for a long time. So around like 8 or 9 months, one night I put her to sleep. She would fall asleep, put her to bed, and usually when she woke up in the middle of the night, I would get her, nurse her, put her back in the bed or whatever, or fall asleep with her in the bed. But let her sleep throughout the night in her room and kind of like cry it out. So that's how I got Harper to sleep through the night. It was hard for me. Like, I could hear her, I would wake up. But after that, sleeping through the night, y'all, I remember when I got my first 8 hours of sleep in months. Oh, that was so good. That was so wonderful. So that's how I like sleep train. So I close her room door, close my room door, and just let her kind of realized that, okay, mommy's not gonna come get me. I gotta sleep through the night. So as she's gotten older now, and when I was going to work, she would really only nurse probably like 3-4 times at the most, because in the morning she would nurse, and then she would always want to nurse for like when she got home from the sitter, and maybe a couple of times before bed. Now I'm trying to like pull back on how much she nurses, because I want her to be done by the time she's 2. Like, I honestly thought that Harper would wean herself, but she is just, no. Yeah, I'm ready to have my body back. I'm ready to wear a regular bra again. My nursing bras I got off of Amazon, they were just, I started wearing them before I actually gave birth, because they were just so comfortable, because nothing just fit my boobs. Because it's kind of like a sports bra, but it gives you a little more support, and it has the little latch. So I definitely suggest wearing nursing bras. And that's another reason I want to stop breastfeeding, is because I just want to wear clothes and not have to worry about, oh, how am I going to nurse Harper in this? When you're going to be pulling your boobs out a lot, so you want to wear something that's going to be easy to like pull down, lift up. Now, I'm not the type of person, I did not cover up when I breastfed, maybe a few times. And sometimes my shirt would cover it up, but I didn't cover Harper up when she breastfed. That's just me. I got it to the point where I could just kind of slip it out, put it in her mouth, you know, not exposing my body or anything. But I didn't have an issue with nursing that way. That's not for everybody. Some people don't like that. But if anybody ever said anything to me, I'd be ready with these hands, okay? Don't come for me. I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm feeding my child, okay? I was doing my part to normalize breastfeeding. I know I'm kind of like all over the place, but back to pumping. I use that bra like I showed y'all, but one of my former coworkers at my old school, she bought me the Free Me breast pump cups right here, y'all. These things changed my life. So it holds up to 8 ounces of milk, okay? These things are amazing. And it comes in 4 parts, so it's really easy to clean. So it came with 2 cups, and it came with 4 of the breast shields, 25 millimeter, and the other one is 20, the other one's 28. And you have your valve, so you just put it together like this, line it up. I need to clean these, but I haven't used them, so. And it also came with, where's the tube? 2 little tubes and the adapters, which I cannot find. Perfect. I lost the little adapters, but it comes with these little adapters to fit onto your breast pump. So it's like a little cone shape. And you would put it onto here so that you could fit this tube. But since I lost them, I would just attach this tube. It would be kind of short, so I would just keep it close to me. So you take that and you put this in here, and this goes in your bra. Put it over your nipple, and you can pump without taking your clothes off. So I suggest everybody get Free Me breast pump cups. The only things you have to work on is like pouring it. I remember the first time I poured it into a bottle, I spilled some milk. Dun dun dun. Yeah, that's the only time you cry over spilled milk, is spilled breast milk, because it's liquid gold, okay? So pump, pump, pump. Same thing. And before, suggestion, you should do this before you take it out. Turn your pump off. Remove your tube. Carefully move it out. You know, there's gonna be some milk dripping off. Make sure you get all the milk off. And you hold it up like this. Bam. Then you're gonna get your bottle or your storage bag. Okay. Like so. Then you're gonna pour it in here. Okay, that's what you have to practice, is the pour. And then you're ready to go. To use the Medela breast milk storage bags, because they came with like this little adapter, and you would attach the bags right to the pump, and you would pump right into the bags. But I stopped using those because they were like expensive for the price. And I'll link all this stuff I'm talking about below so you can decide what works for you. And then I started using the Lancinol bags, and I like these because they're actually larger. I think the Medela only holds 5 ounces. This holds 6 ounces, and I like the fact that it's not open until you actually rip this part off, and it lays a little flatter than the Medela bags did. So I use these Lancinol bags, and you got 100 of them for probably like 20 bucks. So I still have some, and I actually have a couple bags of milk in my freezer because I had to pump because Harper was gone. So yeah, I had to get rid of that milk. So I do have some milk in the freezer still. So since I'm still talking about pumping, I also use a hand pump, which looks like this. I don't think I have the right breast shield. Well, this is the wrong one, but it comes like this with the breast shield, and it also came with 2 bottles. And this was good for like if I was in the car or I just needed to like go somewhere and maybe I needed to pump really quickly. So this one is a little more difficult for some people because you have to mimic the baby or mimic a machine. So I would always start off, you know, with the fast pump, and then I would, and they also have this right here. This top part is good for the letdown because it gives that fast pump right there. And then use this one. Now I had read some reviews on like how this pump would like go out and people had to replace this little part on it, but I haven't had any issues with it. I didn't use it like as my sole means of pumping. It was just in case, go to like, or at nighttime if I didn't feel like going to the machine. Right there. Yeah, can't tell y'all how many times I fell asleep pumping breast milk. For storing breast milk, like I said, I used the Lancinol bags and the Medela ones. I will say that the Medela ones are thicker and you don't have to worry about them getting punctured and leaking. The Lancinol ones can get a little funky. For breast milk storage, I froze most of my milk. So when you're freezing it in the bags, you want to make sure all the air is out and you want to lay it flat so that it freezes flat and it's easier to store that way. It can store in a refrigerator freezer for about 6 to 9 months, and it can store in a deep freezer for 6 to 12 months. But I did learn if you defrost it, it's not, you can freeze it again up until that last crystal is defrosted. So if you leave it out on the counter to defrost, it's you can refreeze it again, like if you don't get a chance to use it, up until that last crystal has defrosted within the milk. So I would suggest, again, just do your research, you know, and you have to figure out what works for you as you go along the way. As Harper got older, I would, like this school year, when school started, I pumped like only 3 times. Like I would pump in the morning, in the afternoon, and then later on in the evening. But then once I hit that year mark, I actually stopped pumping at work because my breasts, I guess, they just adjusted to, you know, how Harper was nursing and how things were going. And your body will do the same thing. You just have to listen to your body and know what's going to work for you. And one more thing that I used in my breastfeeding journey is the Medela App. So in that app, I was able to track like when she drank a bottle, how much of breast milk she drank. I was able to track when I pumped and how much I pumped each session. I was also able to track like the time period she nursed. And I've also had 2 instances of clogged milk ducts. It was when Harper was like 2 months, around Christmas time. I could feel it, like that little knot in my chest. So I just like did research on like how to get rid of it. So I made sure that, one thing, keep nursing, keep pumping, use a heat compress, and massage. Those things really helped. So when I had a clogged duct, I remember that night I set an alarm to wake up like every 2 hours so I could pump to make sure that I could get rid of that clog in there. So it probably took like a day or so for it to come out. But if it lasts longer than that and you start getting a fever, you definitely want to go to the doctor because you don't want to get messtesis. Yeah. So thankfully I didn't have that issue. Then I got one at work one time, like the whole right side of my right breast. It felt like, if you know what like one of those mandolin cookies look like, that's what it felt like, a large mandolin, a hard large mandolin cookie right here. Oh man, I was at work and I remember I had to stay late that day because I had a meeting and I was just mad and over it. I'm like, I want to go home. I have a clogged duct. This is painful. Like, I could barely put my arm down. But that one came out fairly quickly. I don't even know how it got clogged. Maybe I just waited too long to pump. Yeah, but you gotta do what works for you. Listen to your body, listen to your child. Just, you know, go with the flow and start with small goals. So my first goal was to get Harper to 6 months breastfeeding. We made it. Then my next short goal was to get to 1 year. We made it. Then my next goal was to get to 18 months. We made it. Now I'm ready to stop. My long goal was 2 years, but now I'm just like, okay, Harper, we just got to stop. That's my breastfeeding journey. I hope I gave you all enough information and all the information that you needed. If you have like more specific questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll do my best to answer. I will link my resources below, where I got my information and the tools that I used in my breastfeeding journey. I will link that below. One more thing, forgot. These Medela quick clean wipes. These are perfect for when you're like on the go and you don't have any running water or soap to clean your breast pump. This is a good way to quickly clean it and sanitize it. Now still, like, I would do this at work because I would try to just do it as quickly as possible because I'm a teacher. I need to get back to my classroom. So I would use these and wash them as quickly as possible. And then when I got home or the beginning of the next day, make sure I wash them with soap and get them really clean. Is wait like 10 minutes before you pump and let it dry, or wipe it out before you actually pump because you don't want to get what's in here inside of the breast milk. Yeah, that's it in regards to breastfeeding. That's all I have so far. And I guess I can come back once I wean Harper, once we get off of the breast, come back and tell y'all how that went. All right. Thank you so much for watching videos. I hope that I helped you out in some way and got you some pertinent information. Again, don't forget to go down below to subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Hit that bell notification button so that you never miss when I post. And I will definitely see you in the next one. Bye.